Hi, I hope you're having a great day today. Thanks for joining me again at amycommonsense-southern.com. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm glad to have you. I upload 2 to 3 times a week, so go ahead and hit subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Today, I want to talk to you about how I make one of my favorite egg dishes that I can meal prep for breakfast. And I say meal prep because we're going to do a little bit of work and we can get 8 breakfast servings out of it. At 1 smart point per serving, I think it's a great bang for your buck. Now, my crustless quiche does not fit the traditional definition of a quiche. It doesn't have nearly as much cheese or half and half milk or cream that a traditional quiche would. But it does have 3 tablespoons of half and half and 1/4 cup of cheese, and you could use any cheese you want to in this. I used feta for this demonstration, but even though it has those real ingredients in it, it's not nearly as much as a traditional quiche. My crustless quiche relies more on the sauteed spinach and the mushrooms, and you could put garlic, onions, peppers, just about any filling you want, but it focuses more on those fillings instead of the dairy part. So also, it's crustless because instead of it having a traditional pie crust, of course, it also does not have a sweet potato or an almond flour or a coconut flour kind of crust. It's just prepared and poured into a glass pie plate that is just sprayed really well with cooking spray, so you don't have to prep a crust either. So I hope you'll enjoy this recipe and stick with me and learn how to make my crustless quiche. Here's what I need to make my crustless quiche is 8 eggs, 3 tablespoons of half and half, and then just a little bit of a splash of water. I need about a cup of raw sliced mushrooms, 1/4 cup of crumbled feta cheese. This is about 3 cups of spinach, and then any blend for seasoning you want to use. I have just some dried Italian herbs here. You could use tarragon or don't use anything if that's what you want. I also have just a bowl and a whisk that I'm going to use to mix up this quiche, and then the pie plate that has been sprayed with cooking spray. And that's the reason why I call this a quiche, is even if it doesn't fit the technical definition of a quiche, because I make it in a pie plate just like a quiche, it just doesn't have a traditional crust with it. So the first thing I need to do to get this thing started is to saute the spinach and the mushrooms in a tiny bit of olive oil. And so I'll take you over and show you how I do that, and then we'll come back here to put all this quiche together. So I've been sauteing my mushroom pieces a little bit that I broke up in a tiny bit of olive oil, and I sprinkled a tiny bit of salt on it. And now I'm putting in that spinach. And so all I want to do with this is just make this spinach wilt down a little bit. So this is perfect. My leaves have completely wilted down. The mushrooms are all nice and softened. And so what I'm going to do next is put it into this pie plate. Got my heat off. And while this cools in the bottom of the pie plate, I will go ahead and get my eggs going. But you just want to spread this out evenly along the bottom of the pie plate. The 8 eggs that I started with at the beginning of the video are now broken and in this bowl, and I just need to whip those up really quickly while the spinach and mushroom mixture cools. And the trick for me is not to sling this out of the bowl. I tend to do that sometimes a little bit in a hurry, so no need to be in a hurry with this. This is going to go quickly enough anyway. And so to that, I'm going to add my 1/4 cup of feta cheese, and you could use any cheese you want to. It doesn't have to be feta cheese. I just like to add in a little bit of a splash of water, and then my recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of half and half. I usually just eyeball this, but if you want to be really good and precise, you can measure just like I'm doing. And all the points in this recipe is coming from the tiny bit of olive oil that we cooked the mushroom and spinach mixture in with the half and half and the feta cheese. And it will still only be 1 smart point per serving. And then for my seasoning, I'm just going to add just a tiny little bit of this in. I am not even measuring this at all. You can measure yours if you want to. Sometimes I use tarragon. Sometimes I add in a little bit of nutmeg. Sometimes I just put in a little bit of garlic. But since this is for breakfast, I just wasn't feeling the garlic. So now all I have to do is pour all of this, once it's mixed well, into this pie plate and pop it into my oven, which is preheated to 350 degrees. So you notice some of those bottom contents shifted a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit with my whisk and make sure everything's nicely incorporated in there. And this goes into a 350 degree oven for 45 minutes, and I'll be right back with you to show you what we get. I just took the eggs out of the oven and they look amazing. My kitchen smells, well, I wish there was such thing as smelly YouTube. You would really, really like it. So I want to show you what this looks like when we cut into it. And this is why I said it's, in a sense, a meal prep, because I'm going to get 8 slices out of this just like a pie. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this up carefully. And I'm just trying to eyeball that as best I can to get the 8 pieces. So 1 slice of this is 1 point. Now, if you think about it, if that is 1 point, then you could have 2 of these pieces for 2 points. That's not a bad breakfast at all. And sometimes I've even been known to take this for lunch. It's one of those things that it's good cold. I mean, it's obviously good right now straight out of the oven, but it would be just fine cold. Or you can put it in a little microwave-safe dish and put it in for about 30 seconds. You just have to watch it with the strength of your microwave. And if you like salsa, this is a great vehicle for salsa. One of the things I've struggled with on Weight Watchers is that I just absolutely love salsa. And that part's not the struggle, it's just what's something I can do with salsa, because I really cut out eating tons and tons of tortilla chips. So for me, this is another vehicle for salsa. And I also think of the recipe that I gave you as a formula. I put in feta cheese, but you could use cheddar. I did not put in a meat, but you could use bacon or diced ham. I used Italian herb seasoning. You could use tarragon or basil or nothing at all if you don't want any particular herb in there. So anyway, I hope you'll give this a try. I hope you'll experiment with it. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you give this a try, let me know. And I hope that you will come back and visit me at amycommensatsouthern.com. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and I'll see you next time.